Good afternoon, everybody. Sorry, I'm having issues with WebEx. My apologies. Just give me 1 second. Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to the info session regarding Destination 6. And this afternoon, we will have different sessions. And the first one is regarding a human-centered ethical development of digital and industrial technologies, with 3 speakers in this session: Manon Prado, Iero Erola, and Ifrigenia Podaki. So if you're ready to start? I cannot hear anything.
Hello, can you hear me?
Now I can. Thank you. Welcome, Manon.
Thank you. I'm not sure if the slide is displayed on the screen yet.
It is displayed. You cannot see it?
No.
I will stop sharing and start again, okay?
Okay.
Please let me know if it's working.
Yes, it is there.
Yes. Great. Thank you very much. So then I will start and introduce this topic. So this is a CSA, and the topic is Toolbox for Efficient Intellectual Property Licensing for Market Uptake and Societal Value Creation. So before looking into the scope of the topic, maybe I will give a little bit of context around this. So the COVID-19 pandemic and other recent crisis situations have clearly shown the increasing importance of ensuring rapid access and use of research results. Recent worldwide policy initiatives have been taken, for example, in Japan, in Australia, or in the US, in this direction, to facilitate the discovery and the delivery of solutions, particularly in cooperation with businesses. So there have also been discussions at the COP27 in Egypt in November, which stressed the need for technology development and technology transfer to tackle the climate crisis. So this is important to keep in mind when looking at this topic. So value creation and better valorization of research results have been identified as the priorities of the European research area, among others, for the period 2022-2024. Based on a proposal from the Commission, the Council has therefore adopted a recommendation on guiding principles for knowledge valorization on the 2nd of December. And these guiding principles will be supported by a code of practice, which will provide guidance for the research and innovation actors on the management of intellectual assets, including in the context of joint research projects and cooperation with industry. This code should be adopted in the beginning of next year. I should also mention that the European Commission is planning an awareness-raising campaign on these elements, which will start after the adoption of the code of practice I just mentioned, and it will run for 18 months with, among others, events in every EU capital, which will be open to all stakeholders. So The importance of ensuring efficient access to research results by intensifying knowledge valorization was also stressed by the Council in its recently adopted conclusions on the new European Innovation Agenda. And at EU level, there are several relevant initiatives in response to the pandemic with regards to research results and IP, such as the Manifesto for EU COVID-19 research, and some additional exploitation obligations, which were used in the Horizon 2020 and Horizon Europe calls. Tech transfer, knowledge, and intellectual asset management have been key tools to address these societal needs related to the pandemic. So rapid sharing and transfer of IP, for example, through patent pools and clearinghouses, is definitely key to tackle certain crises. And our aim is to foster more collaboration with industry in the EU and to give the right tools for research and innovation actors to build capacity and to be able to navigate through these collaborations, in particular when it comes to intellectual property sharing. So this is why the Commission is investing in valorization through different channels and tools, such as intellectual property and more broadly, intellectual assets management. So this action will deliver an IP toolbox, an intellectual property toolbox to help companies, public research organizations, including universities, and the relevant intermediary entities to establish quick and efficient cooperation and licenses with businesses, as well as practical examples of incentives which can motivate the private sector to commit to voluntary licensing in for other areas, for example, to tackle the climate change emergency. So the expected outcomes here are two, as you can see. The first one is to promote effective use and deployment of intellectual property, ensuring easier access to and sharing of intellectual property protected assets, which are essential to the development of digital and industrial solutions, among others, ultimately benefiting society and the European economy. And the second expected outcome is to provide models to improve the preparedness to respond to future emergencies with adequate solutions, including, of course, digital and industrial solutions via efficient technology licensing. So we would also like this action to harvest the lessons learned as well as practical experiences, including results from the Framework Program 7 and from Horizon 2020, and to assess how these new practices and tools could be transferred to address other emergencies. So, for example, climate change effects, as I mentioned, and to help the society to increase preparedness for future emergencies. So here, that's it in a nutshell, and the expected EU contribution in budget are 2 million euros. If you have any questions, I am available to answer them. Thank you.
Okay, we will move now to the next speaker.
Yes, thank you very much, Irja, and good afternoon to everybody. So my name is Iiro Eerola. I'm a policy officer in the Unit for Valorization Policies and IPR in DG Research and Innovation. So we move now to topic Human 0132, titled as Piloting Communities of Expert Facilitators to improve industry, academia, public sector co-creation. So this is a coordination and support action with a maximum budget of 2 million euros. First, for a brief background, so there is an obvious need to improve interactions between industry, academia, and public sector in Europe, and to enhance knowledge valorization in research and innovation ecosystems. So in Europe, we have an excellent education and research space in the higher education institutions, and a very rich and diverse pool of talents, which constitute a great source for creativity. But the question is, how can we ensure that industry, SMEs, and public sector can fully capitalize on that potential for innovation and better policy making? The EU knowledge valorization policy, including the Council recommendation on the guiding principles for knowledge valorization, that was mentioned by my colleague Manon in the previous presentation, they aim at improving knowledge valorization through different channels, such as industry-academia collaboration, uptake to policy, intellectual asset management, and citizen engagement. In line with those objectives, we need to work on new methodologies for creating interactions between different actors in the research and innovation ecosystem. So in this respect, co-creation through expert facilitation offers possibilities for creating such interactions and also help matching the supply and demand for innovation. So, of course, in this context, the role of intermediaries, such as industry clusters, science and innovation parks, or business incubators, is very important, as they provide platforms for such interactions and co-creation. So the aim of this CSA topic is to pilot communities of expert facilitators for increasing knowledge exchange and co-creation between industry, academia, and public sector. The CSA will link professionals in industry, academia, public sector collaboration, build communities of expert facilitators, and disseminate best practices and know-how for demand-driven industry academia collaboration across Europe. So this cross-border dimension is, of course, very important here. Another element here is to train a wider community of expert facilitators in higher education institutions in Europe. So the topic also calls for integration of social sciences and humanities, and it also calls for paying particular attention to promoting gender responsive and inclusive outcomes. It's also encouraged to explore complementarities with already existing instruments in the field of university business cooperation, such as the EIT KICS, EIT HEY initiative, Erasmus Plus, alliances for innovation, European skills agenda, and relevant national and regional activities. And finally, here in the slide, you see the expected outcomes. So first is strengthening the base for industry academia collaboration in the higher education institutions in the EU and associated countries, and help fostering skills addressing industry and public sector needs. Secondly, to facilitate industry and SMEs to capitalize on the diversity of R&I talents, skills, and cultures across the EU and associated countries, and spread novel approaches for industry, academia, public sector co-creation in cross-border manner. And thirdly, to boost valorization of excellent research results and innovation, that is transforming them into sustainable solutions with economic and social value. Thank you very much for the attention.
Thank you very much, Iro. Our next speaker is Ifigenia.
Yes, good afternoon, everybody. So this next topic, fostering knowledge valorization through societal and cultural interactions, is about supporting existing or new schemes and initiatives in the intersection of arts, industry, and society, which strengthen and increase knowledge valorization. So the uptake of new innovative solutions, including technologies, but also social innovations. Now, to give you a little bit of the rationale behind this topic, why are we looking to schemes in the interaction of arts, industry, and society in order to promote more and better value creation? Well, of course, this is fully in line with the industrial strategy, targeting place-based innovation with broad stakeholder engagement. It is also a key element of the European knowledge valorization policy, which places much attention to a more diverse societal engagement, which involves a multitude of participants. And you heard already from my colleagues Mano and Tiro about the recommendation of the Council adopted earlier this month on the guiding principles for knowledge valorization, which also includes the arts for their role in knowledge valorization. And I can say that in addition, a couple of months ago, we published a study entitled Fostering Knowledge Valorization Through the Arts and Cultural Institutions, which provided a lot of evidence of the role, but also the further unexploited potential of these kinds of interactions to create value through research and innovation. So, in the context of systemic change, it is widely accepted that to achieve systemic change and the twin transitions, green and digital, it takes not only to develop technological solutions, but we need acceptance and often co-creation and uptake by society. Engagement with the arts and cultural institutions can increase people's understanding of complex issues and involve citizens in co-creation. Therefore, when we strengthen approaches of experimentation and creativity, which are common in the ways artistic and cultural interactions operate, in co-creation with citizens and industry, we can increase the potential for transformation towards a more prosperous, inclusive, and innovative future. So really, with this topic, we expect, first, value creation and transfer to economy and society by increased interactions between the arts and cultural institutions, citizens, and industry. Second, we expect innovative solutions which have strong societal acceptance for uptake and transformative capacity because of the new conceptualizations of the societal challenges which are enabled through artistic methodologies and approaches. And finally, enabling interactions, schemes, and modes which engage civil society, arts, cultural institutions, and industry to benefit diverse communities, develop skills, and promote the twin transitions. So very concretely, in this topic, which has a budget of 5 million and we expect to finance 5 projects, we invite proposals to address at least one of 2 challenges. The first challenge is about new schemes. So developing and testing new schemes, initiatives, and modes for arts, industrial technologies, citizens interactions, which lead to increased uptake of research results and innovative solutions by market and society. And the second challenge is about replication and adaptation of existing schemes. So this is about transferring with the appropriate adaptations and then testing in another environment, another member state, for example, existing schemes, initiatives, and modes for these kinds of interactions between arts, industrial technologies, and citizens, which again promote the uptake of research results and innovative solutions. In both cases, we expect the proposals to address at least 20 schemes. So 20 new schemes or replication of 20 existing schemes. Thank you very much. I'm looking forward to your questions.
Thank you very much, Ephigenia, and thank you very much to our 3 speakers of this session. Now is the time for our audience to send their questions. I would like to remind you that you can use Slido using your computer or your mobile phone by scanning the QR code or by typing www.slido.com. And the code for the event is InfoDay. We're looking forward to receiving questions. Okay, I see we have already a few questions, and the first one is regarding topic 32, that it is ERO. And it says it's about working with artists also at interface of industry and society.
Yes, thank you for this question. I think it is actually referring to topic number 33. So, I mean, the next question is for topic 32, though.
Okay, so we can go to the one for 32 since you're online.
Yeah. So,
okay.
As this is only funding one proposal, does this require consortium to be working with an existing structures, for example, EIT gigs? So, I mean, the topic description calls for, I mean, says that it could also explore complementarities with already existing instruments. So it's not obligatory, but it is encouraged. So yeah, that's the answer.
There is another one regarding topic 32. Do you expect to prove industry engagement through use cases?
Well, in the topic description, we are not referring to use cases. The topic description is not explicitly calling for use cases. It's open to the consortium to have the methodology how to carry out this action. Of course, within the framework given in the topic description. I would say that the use cases could be very useful in this context, but it's not obligatory, not really absolutely required.
Okay, thank you very much. Now we have a question regarding topic 33. And it says, topic 33 expects the deliver of 20 new or existing initiatives. Is this 20 within each proposal or 20 across the 5 projects?
Yes, thank you for this question. It is that each proposal should address at least one of these challenges, and each proposal should either treat 20 new schemes or 20 existing schemes for application. So 20 is within each project, not across the whole 5 projects.
Okay, thank you very much, Ifigenia. Now we have another question again for Iro, and it was, is agriculture considered as an industry?
Well, finally, it will be up to the evaluators to judge on this. But basically, I mean, we are trying to establish these interactions between different actors in the R&I ecosystems, and I would say agriculture is one of them. But in the end, it will be up to the evaluators.
Okay, thank you. Now we have a question again for Ifigenia, and it says, can a proposal address both new and existing schemes?
Yes, of course, a proposal can address both. This is why we are saying that it is at least one of the 2 challenges. Of course, this will mean that the expectation of 20 schemes will have to be adjusted. So we can imagine that one proposal can address 20 in the new schemes and 20 in the replication if the budget of this proposal is in line with that. We can expect that the proposal could ask for 2 million rather than 1 million in order to address 20 and 20. We can also expect that the proposal would balance between the 2 challenges. But clearly, this is open to the proposal to either choose to address one challenge with 20 schemes or to address both challenges. and adjust accordingly the request.
Okay, thank you very much, Ifigenia. Next question regards topic 31, and this is for Manon. And the question says, what will become one of the developed IP tool after the project ends?
Thank you for the question. Well, first we will of course have to assess how satisfactory the tool that will be developed is, and then of course explore ways to eventually use it and disseminate it to the relevant actors that could use it. So, and it should of course fit in this overall framework that I presented and the policy with this code of practice, and so that should be it.
Okay, thank you. We still have time for one more question. So please don't be shy and ask whatever you think that it was not totally clear to you. Okay, we have one more question, and it says, will the Industry 5.0 projects by Industry 5.0 funder and network supported and funded? I don't know for whom this question is addressed to, so maybe the speakers can identify themselves and see if this question could be addressed by any of you.
Well, maybe I will. I'm not completely sure to what this question refers to, but in about half an hour we will explain 4 topics which directly address Industry 5.0. So there are pilots and other activities which would be funded under this under Horizon Europe, addressing specifically Industry 5.0.
Yes, and I would like to remind our audience that this session is started at 2 p.m. Okay, let's see if we have any additional questions in these 2 minutes that we have left or not. Otherwise, we will have a mini break. Okay, we will wait 1 more minute until 2 p.m. to start with the next session. Thank you. Sorry, 1:30, not 2 p.m. My apologies. Okay, we will start now with a session on international cooperation, and here we'll have 3 speakers coming from DigiConnect, belonging to the unit Policy Outreach and International Affairs. And we have Konstantinos Kapsulopoulos, Carlos Oliveira, and Arnaud Sen. Konstantinos, whenever you are ready.
Yes, I'm ready, and thanks to everybody. Thanks, Iria. I suppose you're going to manage the slides.
Yes, I'm sharing my
Oh.
screen now. You should be able to see my slides.
Good,
Are
good.
you?
I can see the slides, and I will tell you when it is needed to turn into the next slide. Is it fine with you?
It's perfect.
Excellent, excellent. So I can start, and I'm very, very happy to be with you today to talk about the first call under international cooperation, which is the Horizon CL4 2023 Human 0191, and it is entitled International Hub for Digital Partnerships in the Indo-Pacific. And I would ask you to go to the next slide, please. So I would like to give you first a bit of a background about the digital partnerships in line with the EU Indo-Pacific strategy in 2021. The European Commission has negotiated 3 digital partnerships with Japan, Korea, and Singapore. The objective was to have them finalized until the end of 2022. And I have the pleasure to tell you that now we have delivered. The first digital partnership with Japan was adopted, launched at the bilateral EU-Japan summit in May 2022. Then we had the signature and launch of the digital partnership with Korea on 28th of November. And today, at the margins of the EU-ASEAN summit, we are expecting to have the announcement of the digital partnership with Singapore. So that's the political context of the digital partnerships. And I would like to talk to you now how this CSA call could help us. We need to organize networks, conferences, workshops, and other actions that support research and innovation activities in the digital partnerships with Japan, Korea, and Singapore, and with India in the context of the Trade and Technology Council. I would like to add that the Trade and Technology Council is in the making. We're expecting to have it launched in the first semester of 2023. The thematic areas of cooperation of this conferences and workshops include semiconductors, especially next generation of semiconductors, emerging privacy enhancing technologies, high performing energy efficient and sustainable 5G and beyond 5G technologies, data technologies, artificial intelligence, SMEs digital transformation, smart cities, high performance computing, and quantum technologies, standardization, trust services, which includes electronic signatures, but also electronic identities and blockchain. I would like to clarify that the digital partnerships provide for a comprehensive, as you can see, bilateral cooperation with the third countries between the EU and these 3 countries and India in the full spectrum of the digital field. Another important objective of this call is to collect and analyze information as well as conduct surveys and draft reports and position papers on the partner countries, research and innovation policies, strategies and programs on all the above mentioned topics of cooperation, including platform cooperation, digital education, and digital connectivity. We want also to foster cooperation and prepare the ground for joint research and raise greater awareness of research and innovation and industrial cooperation opportunities to promote the digital transformation of industry, disruptive innovation, and particularly SMEs. The action should ensure that relevant stakeholders from both the EU and the partner countries are engaged during the process through regional and international workshops and a set of communication and dissemination actions. I would like really to stress that stakeholders' engagement is key for the implementation of the digital partnerships and of the forthcoming Trade and Technology Council. We would like also to have increased networking and collaboration of stakeholders from the EU and the partner countries with a view to addressing current needs, considering future requirements and stimulating long-term cooperation. Let me stress that the digital partnerships are living documents. They are flexible instruments that can be updated according to needs and future technology developments and policy developments in the digital field. That's why we would like to have backgrounds and overviews also about future developments in the digital field. I would like to ask you to go to the next slide, please. Now, what is the expected outcome of the International Hub for Digital Partnerships in the Indo-Pacific? We want to support research and innovation activities and concrete pilot projects, for example, in the areas of artificial intelligence and digital identity, linked, of course, to the implementation of digital partnerships with Japan, Korea, Singapore, and the Trade and Technology Council with India, with a view to drive technology development and standardization or regulatory and legislative approaches. We want to have support to digital dialogues with the international partners, facilitate exchange of views and best practices, regulatory cooperation, and where appropriate, development of common principles regarding regulation, legislation, and standards, developed bilaterally or agreed in international fora. We want, as an expected outcome, also to have to oversee international activities across Horizon Europe Cluster 4 and identify joint research and industrial cooperation opportunities with key partners. We aim also to having reports on synergies and commonalities in policies, strategies and programs between the EU and partner countries that could feed in the discussions of digital partnership councils, which will drive forward the implementation of the partnerships. The digital partnership councils are the main governance bodies of the digital partnerships, and that makes really the big difference with what we are doing up to now with key partners in the Indo-Pacific. The Digital Partnership Councils will be led by Commissioner Breton from the EU side and from ministers from the three partner countries, and they will provide really for the political backing of the implementation. They will take stock of progress, and they will also elaborate priorities for the future. So basically, they're important because they will give the political impetus and raise visibility of our bilateral relation with these three partner countries. So it is really a key element, the Digital Partnership Councils. We want also to have and foster increased cooperation with appropriate research institutions in Japan, Korea, Singapore on the development, deployment and commercialization of digital technologies, for example, through specific collaboration in the field of research and innovation. We want also to have support to trade and industrial policy aspects by promoting European technologies and standards in key international markets, and promote and support European positions in international fora such as G7, G20, OECD, and WTO, and standardization organizations. In a nutshell, to make it clear, there are three types of deliverables that we want to pursue through the digital partnerships and the Trade and Technology Council with India. First, enhanced research cooperation. Second, regulatory convergence and cooperation. And third, coordination and elaborating common positions between EU and the respective third countries in international organizations and standardization fora. These are main deliverables, and also they make difference, because up to now we were giving a lot of importance, which will continue, of course, in research cooperation, but now we want also to deliver through the digital partnerships on regulatory cooperation or convergence and coordination in international fora with like-minded partners like Japan, Korea, Singapore, and India. Next slide, please. Now, the EU contribution per project is 3 million euros. The indicative budget of the call is 3 million euros, and the type of action, as it was clear from the beginning, is a common support action. The eligibility conditions are described in General Annex B, and the following exceptions apply. The exceptions are if projects use satellite-based Earth observation, positioning, navigation, and all related timing data and services, beneficiaries must make use of Copernicus and or Galileo EGNOS. Other data and services may additionally be used. I will ask you to go to the next slide, please. Which brings us to the project that will be dealt and presented by my colleague Carlos. So at this stage, I am at your disposal for any questions or further detail or clarification that you might need.
Thank you, Konstantinos. Now our next speaker will be Carlos Oliveira.
Yes, can you hear me?
Yes, we can, Carlos.
Well, good morning or good afternoon, because I presume that some of the people following this might be already in the afternoon. I would like to present you quite briefly what are the essence of the proposal for the CSA dealing with research and innovation cooperation targeting Latin America, and with a special emphasis perhaps on some of the countries with whom we have already a particularly intense relationship, being it large countries like Mexico, Brazil, and Argentina, but also other countries that are part of the BELA network and members of the Red Clara. And starting with precisely BELA, perhaps it is important to highlight a very important element that somehow shapes this cooperation, which is the fact that since 2021, we have in place a direct high-speed link between Europe and South America, which is something that happens for the first time in many years, and is a big capacitor to allow us for a more intense cooperation around the research, especially research that uses digital communications and data to develop new science and new knowledge. Equally important is also to mention the fact that we have, with some of these countries, more specifically Mexico, Brazil, and Argentina, already ongoing digital dialogues dealing with policies for various aspects of digital, being it regulatory convergence, being it aspects such as enhancing digital transformation, but also developments around standards and other aspects of what we used to call human-centric digital transformation. So what do we expect out of this CSA? Very much a support to the implementation of the commitments, especially in the area of research and innovation that come out of these digital dialogues. I've emphasized individual countries, but we should also include in this context other sub-regional entities like Pacific Alliance, Mercosur, with whom, for instance, we have a particular relationship because they have a digital agenda, but of course also the EU and the whole set of Latin American countries with whom we expect to launch.
Sorry to interrupt, Emilio, sorry. We have some comments that if it's possible just to change to full screen so that people on the streaming can see a bit better.
Because I don't have control of the
Yes, absolutely. The comment goes to Iria, to our moderator. I'm sure she will do it. Apologies for interrupting. We just get some comments from
Yeah, sure.
Slido. That's why. Okay, thank you.
Okay, I didn't modify anything
Iria,
from
may I try
before.
to guide you?
Yes, please.
Hopefully it will be sorted out quickly. At the top of your screen, you see display settings on the
Yes,
other
display
side,
settings, yes.
and then you swap presenter view and slideshow.
What do you think?
Yes, now it's
Yes,
perfect.
perfect.
Okay, all right. Thank you, and sorry about this.
Okay, let's then resume. So I was referring to the expected outcomes, highlighting the importance of the already digital logs that we have with a number of entities, and perhaps also do a bit of a pre-announcement of what will be the upcoming EU Latin America digital partnership that has been defined in contours that have some similarities with what was presented shortly before by my colleague Costas for the Pacific region. Of course, with some specificities that depend on the countries that we are dealing with. One of the things that actually comes very much in this context is the need to really profit from this project to develop a roadmap for future research and innovation cooperation. Of course, taking into account the specificity of the different countries and also the regional and international cooperation schemes that exist already, because this also affects the abilities and the conditions for participation in Horizon Europe. I have already mentioned the Bella network, and of course, the Bella is already in place. Even if there are plans for further extending it, it will be very important to develop and to push for the relevant use cases that put in evidence the added value of Bella for the progress of research and innovation and of cooperation between the two sides of the Atlantic. Among the topics that we consider being of special relevance, of course, are the areas of cloud, Internet of Things, and 5G. But when we say cloud, perhaps we should even put more broadly new paradigms for computing, including, for instance, high-performance computing, quantum computing, which are part, let's say, the same set of activities. And of course, I've already mentioned about the cooperation on regulatory matters. One of the things that is essential is to put an emphasis on the human-centric digital transformation. We have seen that many countries in this region are very keen about looking at what the European Union is doing around, for instance, topics like artificial intelligence, data protection, international data transfers, and of course, all this has to be put in context. But at the same time, we are looking for things that actually bring added value for the life of people. So all the issues around sustainable development goals are very important. Whatever can be done, for instance, to support capacity building on the technological areas that we have been talking about, and somehow creating conditions to attract organizations in these countries to the European mindset in terms of digital transformation are quite essential. Next slide, please. Oops, I think that, yes, that's it. Let me perhaps give a bit of some hints which are not to be seen as absolutely prescriptive, but somehow as sources of inspiration on how we can deliver these kind of results. Of course, if we're talking about mobilizing stakeholders in the region, it's very essential, very important to have the typical instruments of networks, conferences, workshops that basically somehow support the activity of bringing together the communities in these countries, Brazil, Mexico, Argentina, but also in other countries that are part of the Bella Network and members of Red Clara. I can think, for instance, here about Chile. I can think here about countries like that are part of the Amazon region, with whom we have already quite an interesting cooperation, for instance, around the use of Copernicus images and Copernicus-related activities. Of course, it's very important to promote the exchange of best practices between European and the countries in the region. And when we say exchange, it means that actually learn from also the experiences that are taking place in these parts of the world, as well as promote and make visible what are the examples of expertise and know-how that come from Europe, especially in areas like 5G, in areas like IoT. It's very important to highlight the importance of EU as a major reference in terms of technological developments in these areas, actually a global actor in this area. But at the same time, we also need to learn a little bit about what are the plans of the countries and the other entities on activities that have to do with research and innovation strategies, also the aspects that deal with data governance and approaches to data technologies. I mean, for instance, if we know that a major initiative to promote AI in one of these countries, it's very important to know what are the partners of such initiatives, what is the opportunity for Europe of being part or providing contributions to it. Last but not the least, very important to look at joint research and awareness of what is available within the context of Horizon Europe, but eventually also in other European initiatives that involve also an industrial dimension. As it was stated at the very beginning, the mobilization of the relevant stakeholders, not only from the EU, but especially from these countries, is very important. And we talk about stakeholders, we're not only talking about the government entities, about the national research institutes, but we're also talking about the private sector companies, and particularly the companies, the European companies that are active in these countries. I mean, the overall investment of EU in Latin America actually is more important than the combined investment of Europe in countries like China, Russia, and India, just to give an idea of the importance of also mobilizing European actors that are also active in these countries. Of course, the contribution that is available is about 2 million, and this is clearly a project that focuses on creating the conditions for valuable partnerships for future research activities, not doing research by itself. This is part of the definition of the CSA. And of course, all the countries are eligible. We should be aware that some of the countries that we are talking about are not eligible for funding per se, but this is important to bear in mind. Very important also this reference to the satellite-based Earth observation and positioning, because many of the countries in this region are already involved in relevant activities dealing, for instance, with Copernicus. There is a Copernicus Center of Expertise in Panama, also very important activities in Chile. For instance, in Brazil, there is also a number of joint activities, especially involving the JRC, dealing with the observation and monitoring of the main biomes of the region, Amazon, Pantanal. This is not only in one country, it's the whole set of countries that are involved in this. And also for Galileo and EGNOS, we have a very relevant activity dealing with with this very important activity linked with the promotion of Galileo within the communities of the region. There is a Galileo Information Center, for instance, in Chile. There is one in Brazil, and they had been networking very actively with stakeholders that are interested in these activities, notably in areas like transport and mobility, also in the areas of emergency services, just to give a couple of examples. So we are looking forward at least a very important and very prominent CSA that can really bring these kind of results that are essential for the full realization of the objectives of the EU-LAC digital partnership that will be announced in the coming months. I think I have finished, ready to listen for your questions. I have only kept the essential information in 2 slides. Back to you.
Okay, all right. Thank you very much, Carlos. Now our next speaker is Arnaud Sen from DigiConnect, Data Research and Innovation Unit.
Can you hear me?
Hello?
Hello? Yes, can you hear me?
I hear you far away and I cannot see you.
Can you see me?
No, I'm still seeing Carlos.
Can you hear me?
Far away, but I can't hear you. I don't know for the audience. Maybe the colleagues can't tell if the sound is fine or not.
Indeed, I think that it's a bit far away, but we can still hear him. And since we are behind the
We
schedule
are
quite
very
a
late.
lot, yes, maybe we can start, I would propose.
Okay.
Okay, can you hear me now?
Maybe you should try to put your microphone as close as your mouth as you can, and then please start.
Yeah, that's what I do. Can you hear me properly?
Yes, yes.
Okay, fine. Okay. Okay. Thank you very much for this for inviting us to this presentation. So I will make, I would say, a quick presentation on this cooperation with Sub-Saharan Africa CSA initiative. So what we are basically, I would say, what we have basically in mind is to foster cooperation and prepare ground for joint research and innovation, but also to raise awareness of African research and especially and African, I would say, research community. Simply because we have, I would say, realized that this research community remains not really visible at global level. So visibility, of course, is absolutely key for this initiative. So the objective is to organize network to support research activities, but also to monitor any kind of digital relevant activities that occur, I would say, in sub-Saharan Africa. So in practice, it means collecting and analyzing information, conducting surveys, but also supporting Africans to make, I would say, to give their full potential to position paper drafting and policy counseling. Since, I mean, until now, it was unfortunately not necessarily the case. We are all, of course, very keen to organize linkage between EU and African internet and research communities. But I will not stress enough the importance of building on the existing and recent experience of partnership between Africa and Europe that was basically translated into key initiatives like EDIB or Open Internet in Africa. EDIB is specifically important because this is, I mean, an overarching innovation hub cooperation initiative that brought together African and European entrepreneurs involved in innovation hubs with a view to improving and structuring the ecosystem around entrepreneurs. This action, of course, should ensure that relevant stakeholders from both sides, from the EU and from Africa, will be engaged and fully committed during this process. and of course that we make sure that what they are doing will be, I would say, properly, will be truly visible thanks to communication and dissemination actions. Next slide, please. So the expected outcome are quite clear. To support, of course, research cooperation between both continents, to strengthen, of course, digital dialogue in full compliance with the principle of the gateway, to support trade and industrial policy aspects, but also to contribute to Africa's economic growth and job creation in line with SDG. So SDG is a topic that is coming back again and again, and more. There is, I would say, a growing momentum on this. Digital, I would say, is seen as also as a good way to support SDG attainment. Of course, we promote. Of course, we are in the spirit of promoting EU values for human-centric digitalization to support EU international priorities. And when I mean priorities and principles, I refer to the digital decade and the global gateway. So digital decade has worded out, let's say, what we call the 4 cardinal points that must, I would say, frame and organize digitalization. So just as a reminder, so we have entrepreneurship, digital skills, connectivity, and development and support to e-services. So these are the 4 cardinal points of the digital decade that were originally framed between Africa and Europe in their own dialogue, and then, of course, that were also taken up by the EU, let's say, discourse itself. And of course, the global gateway in short is about increasing, I would say, investment in digital, but at the same time by promoting democratic values, promoting transparency, equal partnership, and of course secure infrastructure in such a way that we respect the rights of end users, especially regarding privacy. And finally, of course, the objective is to build synergies and prepare an enabling, I would say, and supportive environment for research and investment for the EU and for Africa. So regarding budget, nothing special to mention. So 2 million, as you can see, and the same for eligible country. There is nothing, I would say, very specific for this initiative. I would say that a very important point I would say to keep in mind is to build on existing partnership. So of course, to build on what we have already achieved with Africans since 2018, as defined by, I would say, the heads of states of Europe and Africa. We are now in the spirit of building a true partnership, not, let's say, one more development initiative. Next slide, please. Yeah, it's okay. So I'm happy to answer your questions.
Yeah, thank you very much to all of our speakers. We might have time for maybe one question since we're running over time already. Any questions via Slido? Yeah, we have one question regarding topic 91 that is Costas. Can a proposal focus on just some thematic areas, or must they cover all as the scope implies, analyze and all the above mentioned topics? Please, Konstantinos.
Should I reply immediately, or you were going to collect all the questions?
You can reply immediately.
It is clear from the presentation, I think, that it should analyze all the above mentioned topics.
Okay, thank you. Do we have any other questions, or should we move to the next session? No more questions? Okay. If there are no more questions, We will move to the next session on research and innovation for Industry 5.0. And our next speaker is Martin Humer from RTD Unit Industry 5.0. So Martin, whenever you are ready.
Thank you very much. I'm ready. I'm going to cover two topics of this whole block of 4 topics directly addressing Industry 5.0. But before I start with the description of the topics, I would like to give us a small recapitulation what Industry 5.0 is about. It's basically a term which depicts an industrial system based on 3 pillars: on sustainability, on resilience, and human centricity. And what is particularly important, that these 3 pillars are not independent of each other, but ideally they would reinforce each other. For example, by if you ensure a broad scope of skills for your workforce, it would also increase the resilience of your company, so the capability to react to changes in the market focus or whatever. Or if you have renewable energy generation, which contributes to sustainability, it might also have benefits for resilience, because you get less dependent from oil producing countries or something like that. So Industry 5.0 has been already addressed as some aspects of that for many years in the framework programs. So we do not start from scratch. But first of all, this synergy between these 2 thrillers has been less investigated, and also this the specific aspect of human centricity was less visible. It was included, but we would like to put more emphasis on that. And the 2 topics I'm going to present now address exactly that. The first one is 51 pilots for an innovative human-centric industry, and I would ask for the next slide. What we look here for is a set of at least 10 pilots which should develop and demonstrate human centricity in real life, under real life industrial conditions. Such a pilot could be one company, but it could also include several companies stretching across borders. What the whole set of these at least 10 pilots should deliver is a broad variety in terms of sectors covered, also company size. So it should also include SME startups or scale-ups. These pilots need to be located in at least 13 member states or associated states, which to a certain degree already implies cross-country, cross-border cooperation. So these pilots should be innovative in the sense that they go beyond the state of the art of the application of advanced technologies, of the purposeful application of advanced technologies. And typically what we have in mind is a technology readiness level of 6 to 7. In relation to digital technologies, it should also address the question of cybersecurity on all the levels of, so in design, in implementation, but also in governance. Innovation, I said, they should be innovative. This is to be understood in the broad sense. So apart from technological innovation, it could be could address the innovative work organizations. It could address the function and the task of workers in the whole company. It could include skills training, health and safety, or corporate values, or new business models. And I would ask you to look at this specific topic next, which is quite detailed, and I cannot cover everything within these 5 minutes. The topic text also refers to a number of themes which could be addressed without this list being comprehensive. So it could, of course, go beyond there. So we you could look at models or activities to stimulate the creativity of individuals or of groups of staff in the company. You could look at the participation of the workforce in technology design or in the application of technologies. You could look into technologies to increase inclusivity. So in particular also to how to include low-skilled laborers. And you could also look at the use of advanced technologies to increase the skill levels of the workforce. There are other examples in the topic text. This was just an extract of it. We expect this project to provide a detailed reporting on success factors, but also on the barriers and the bottlenecks encountered in these case studies. They should also analyze the effects and outcomes, in particular also on the competitiveness and on the resilience, because this is a crucial point. Does it contribute to the competitiveness of the countries, of the companies or not? What we also would like to have is evidence-based recommendations to relevant stakeholders like policymakers, but also trade unions or industry associations, etc. As this is obviously a very broad interdisciplinary project, it's inevitable that social science and humanities should be part of the project. And of course, gender aspects should be appropriately covered. Last but not least, we insist that applicants do not act in isolation. There is a lot which is going on in running a project, or even has been going on in past projects in Horizon 2020, in Horizon Europe, in the Digital Europe program, in the EIT, etc. And the project applicants should seek active synergies with this project, with this running or past projects, if possible. The outcomes we would expect, you see in the slide. So it's a proved understanding what's going on there. It's also a better idea how the work and learning environment could contribute to exploit the synergies between the huge potential of digital technologies and the creativity and the capabilities of the workforce. And last but not least, of course, it should contribute to a skilled and creative industry workforce, which is empowered through technologies, but not actually steered by, not overwhelmed by these technologies. It's we foresee for that 10 million euro, and we would like to have one project funded. So the 10 million will go to only one project. Next slide, please. The second research and innovation action focuses on the drivers and success factors for this progress towards Industry 5.0. The focus is on understanding what are the drivers and factors for success, but also the barriers which hinder the implementation of Industry 5.0. Again, we would look for 10 cases which should have their center of gravity in 10 different member states or associated states. Of course, it's possible to have cross-boundary projects, case studies here as well. It's also possible to include countries from outside the community of member states and associated states, but in this case it should be clearly demonstrated or argued why there is a relevance for including this type of case studies as well. The case studies again should be broad in their variety, so in size of companies, in industrial sectors covered, but also maybe the typology of the country in question. Possible research themes to address. Again, I refer you to the topic that. But the research to be addressed include the implementation practices. So how is this implemented in practice? What modes of implementation exist? And you should also specify how the case in question goes beyond the state of the art. It could be, as I said before, going beyond the state of the art is not only in technological sense. It could also cover, I don't know, sustainable business modes, human research management, corporate governance, also the task and function of workers in the company. Another theme to be addressed is the drivers. So what are I would say the stimulating conditions, and what are the necessary trade-offs? There are always trade-offs. What is the role of policy and regulatory framework? What advantage can be gained through the implementation of Industry 5.0 in terms of competitiveness, of reputation, also the ability to attract talents? This is particularly important in the digital technology sector. But also, does it have benefits for the adaptive capacity to react to unforeseen disruptions? So these, also on, are there benefits in terms of if you apply these sustainable business models? Another topic which should be addressed is a theme which should be addressed is the success factors and bottlenecks, as I said before. Huh? This should cover both internal and external bottlenecks or success factors. It could, for example, what is the relation of the workforce to the advanced technologies? Do they accept them? How do they position them against these technologies? How is the case study embedded in a local community? Are there benefits? What's about the inequalities? Would they rise or would they shrink through the application of advanced technologies? And what is the added value of adding sustainability aspects to the business strategy? Last but not least, two themes should also be addressed. The one is particularly SMEs, startups or scale-ups. How do they specifically uptake Industry 5.0? What role plays the local innovation system for that? And what is the impact on these SMEs or startups if they participate successfully in the green and digital transition? So the last theme is, of course, on measurements. The project is supposed to investigate state-of-the-art quantitative and qualitative tools to measuring the progress. It goes without saying that these case studies need, of course, to be validated with the actors in these case studies. We also emphasize that the technology transfer is not the knowledge transfer is they're crucial. So it is foreseen to have a number of workshops and also big closing conference to pass the message and the results of that to policymakers and to stakeholders. Again, quite interdisciplinary project which requires SSH and gender aspects to be taken in account. And again, the synergies with existing and past projects and activities are actively thought. The budget for this is 4 million. It's a research and innovation action, and on the slide you have the expected outcomes. I don't go into that in view of the time. So if you have any questions, I'm prepared to ask them afterwards. Thank you.
Thank you, Martin. Our next speaker is Nicholas Zelianakis. Whenever you are ready, please.
Yes, thank you and good afternoon. I will present two more topics which complement the concept of Industry 5.0 that Martin just outlined. The next topic is about localized and urban manufacturing, supporting creativity and the new European Bauhaus. Now, this topic is closely related to manufacturing, and manufacturing is by and large supported through the Made in Europe partnership, which you will find in Destination 1, Twin Green and Digital Transition. And this topic builds on what is done in manufacturing in order to support at the same time both the Industry 5.0 concept and the new European Bauhaus, which is closely related, through the concept of localized manufacturing, decentralized manufacturing. General idea is that one can capitalize on the advances in manufacturing, in networked, in connected factories, and manufacturing technologies that optimize flexibility and improve human-machine interactions. One can capitalize on all these technologies to help create localized manufacturing, often, but not only in urban environments. And in this way, to engage with new players, including SMEs, that may take advantage of the latest manufacturing technologies and of networked manufacturing, and in this way serve creativity. And also increase the visibility of manufacturing, the attractiveness of manufacturing as a career. Now, because of the nature of the topic, it includes the possibility of what we call FSTP, financial support to third parties, which means that support can be extended to partners beyond the consortium, and the consortium can spend up to a third of the EU contribution for this purpose, with a maximum of 100,000 euros per third party. So this is to enable perhaps smaller SMEs that might not come to the framework program directly to capitalize on the benefits that I outlined earlier. The overall budget of the topic is 10 million euros, with an EU contribution per project around 1.5 to 2.5 million euros, which means that 4 or 5 such projects will be funded. The technology readiness level in this case starts at 5, because in general one expects the consortia to build mostly on existing technologies and to achieve 6 TRL 6 by the end of the project. That means demonstrators in industrially relevant environments. Of course, all this has to be interpreted in the context of this particular topic. You also see the expected outcomes, which I have more or less outlined. So the general idea is to support Industry 5.0 with its aims of sustainability, resilience, and human centricity, to raise the profile of manufacturing as an attractive career option, to enhance engagement and creativity, including appropriate contributions from social sciences and humanities, and to demonstrate examples to flexible production capabilities in decentralized environments. Can we move to the next topic, please? This is the final topic in the group that we call Industry 5.0. It actually serves Industry 5.0 whilst going beyond. This is a topic that has been developed jointly with DG's Employment and Education and Culture, and it is about green and digital skills and training needs for a just transition. The general idea is that for the twin green and digital transition, we need not only technologies, but also skills. Now, a lot of those skills are missing. Mindsets are not developed. So the aim of the topic is to look at how skills could be developed in real environments, whether in the for the green transition or digital transition or both, and then to see whether this output can be upscaled, for example, through the European Social Fund, ESF Plus, or the European Institute of Innovation and Technology, which has a lot of so-called knowledge and innovation communities that are closely related to the aims of Cluster 4 and this topic in particular. So here we are not looking for desk research. It is important to stress that. We are looking at actual implementable training modules. So we are asking proposers to look at real training in real environments and to and on the one hand demonstrate that training, and on the other hand produce some recommendations on how the training can be generalized. It is a coordination and support action, although it is also expected to build on the kind of research that is happening on relevant research happening in research and innovation actions. So engagement is needed for this reason, not just desk research. The indicative budget of the topic is 2.5 million euros, with an EU contribution per project around 500,000, which means that we expect to fund around five such projects that will ideally look at different areas of green and digital skills. Once again, you see the expected outcomes. The overall outcome is to reduce the skill gaps that hold back the green and digital transition in the ways that I outlined earlier, to support the collective action on skills development by companies, especially in the context of next year, which is the European has been designated by the President as the European Year of Skills. And also in the case of the projects that look more at the digital side, to support advanced ICT specialist skills or other key digital technologies that contribute to industrial leadership. And finally, I would like to anticipate a question here connected to the digital side, and that is how this topic interacts with training in the Digital Europe program. So in the Digital Europe program, first, the training is only about digital, and second, it is about actual training of people in various settings, whereas here we are looking at a demonstration of how training in green or digital areas can be generalized. Thank you.
Thank you very much for your presentations. Now we have again the Slido session. So please forward us your questions via slido.com using the event code INFODAY for the speakers to reply to whatever questions you might have regarding research and innovation for Industry 5.0. Okay, we have the first question, and it says, how many Industry 5.0 principles must be implemented for the project to be applicable for funding?
I would like to try to cover that. For the pilot topic, so 51, there is a clear focus on human centricity. It's also already in the title. So the project clearly should focus on this aspect, but as I said before, Industry 5.0 is a holistic concept where this interaction between the different pillars are also very relevant. you cannot just say it is just human centricity. The focus should be there, but of course it would touch on the other pillars as well, because they are linked to human centricity. For the project 52, where we look at the drivers and success and barriers for Industry 5.0, this should cover all three pillars, and of course the synergies between these three pillars in an equal manner.
Okay, thank you, Martin.
Yeah.
Next question. Would already running Industry 5.0 projects be supported by the described funding?
No, I don't think so. So what we are looking for for innovative projects going beyond the state of the art, if they are already covered by an existing funding, this would be double funding. So we focus on new and innovative aspects. So I don't see the what I said. Project or applicants should seek active synergies with existing projects, also to avoid sort of double development or to reinventing the wheels or indicators or whatsoever. But these synergies does not mean that there is a sort of double funding for one and the same aspect.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, now regarding topic 54, could you say a bit more about the expected contributions from SSH in this topic? What is exactly expected? That's for Nicholas.
That's right. It is inevitable that a topic like that would need social sciences and humanities, because, for example, you would need experts in education, in training. It can also be interpreted more broadly. Consortia could see whether it might be appropriate to bring in experts on design, on creativity, and to address that dimension also in the spirit of the new European Bauhaus, even though that is not explicitly mentioned in that particular topic.
Okay, thank you. We have another question submitted by Vasiliki on the same topic, 54. Is there any specific focus in terms of skills and sectors on the support for deep tech innovation?
No, there isn't, and that is one of the reasons why the parameters allow 5 different projects. Of course, the emphasis is on the green and digital transition, which can be very broad. So, but because we are asking for particular for training modules, inevitably we expect to see applications in particular areas. So there is no specific focus as long as it is within the ambit of cluster 4 and the green and digital transition. But of course, a successful proposal is likely to focus on something where our impact can be demonstrated.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, next question also is regarding topic 54. Could you please clarify what do you mean by the wording socio-technical interface?
Essentially, it means what Martin already explained in the context of Industry 5.0, that we're looking not only at technologies, but how technologies interact with individuals and with societies. That is all it means.
Okay, thank you. Now, Jane would like to know regarding topic 53, how do you expect to include artistic experimentation?
That is part of the new European Bauhaus concept. The general idea is that one tries to use creativity in order to address sustainability. Also because this topic is about flexible and localized manufacturing, there is room here to see whether what we call artistic experimentation can enhance manufacturing. Whether this type of manufacturing can support more creativity, because of course it is more flexible. That is a general idea. the rest is open to interpretation by individual proposers.
All right, thanks. Now we have another question relating to topic 51. Could you please clarify, will only one project be funded? How many research and industry organizations should be involved in a proposal?
The first part is easy to answer. Yes, we expect only one project to be funded. This is also has to be seen in terms of a critical mass of pilot projects. The second one, there is no clear figure how many research or industry organizations should be involved in the proposal. We think as we put emphasis on the innovative nature of these pilot cases, there will be some obviously there will be some links to research and organizations. What you mean with industry organizations, I don't exactly know. So if it's about industry associations, well, there is no specific should I say criterion on that. What we target at is a broad variety covering many aspects of this human-centered industry in very variable cases. If this includes industry organizations and if this contributes to the quality of the proposal, why not? But there are no specific obligations to that.
Okay. Now, John would like to know, can we add FSTP, especially from the manufacturing sector / SME?
I assume you mean the topic 53 on localized and urban manufacturing, because the other topics do not foresee FSTP. So yes, in topic 53, you can indeed use the financial support for third parties to include manufacturing sector SMEs. The intention behind the facility is to allow smaller SMEs to participate, smaller players, the kind of player that might not necessarily come directly to Horizon Europe as a consortium partner. But of course, that is not set out in the topic. So in practice, you would be free to add manufacturing or other partners as beneficiaries of the FSTP as you see fit. Of course, that will be evaluated under the that will be assessed as part of the evaluation.
Thank you, Nicholas. Now, John still would like to know regarding topic 51, can the coordinator be from Turkey or related countries or EU alone? Could you please give all the hidden restrictions? Thanks. I don't know what he means with hidden restrictions.
Well, according to my understanding, if you're somebody from an associated country, you participate in Horizon Europe on a completely equal footing as the member states. This, of course, implies that the coordinator can also be from an associated country. So, as Turkey is an associated country, I don't see any problem with that. Hidden restrictions. There are no hidden restrictions. We have the restrictions which are specified in the work program and in the legal documents describing this work program, but there are no hidden restrictions. So it's about what I said. It's excellency based, and we are, of course, particularly interested what's going on in the relevant industries, regardless whether they are associated or in a member state.
Thank you, Martin. We might have time for the last question. One more. If there are no more questions. Okay, yes, there is one last question regarding topic 53 that should be replied quickly because we have only 1 minute left. Could you please expand on how to deal with interpreting and implementing the TRL levels for urban manufacturing context?
Yes, it is indeed a somewhat different context from the mainstream, if you like, topics of manufacturing. So for this topic, we have specified starting TRL 5 and finishing TRL 6. That is because by and large, we would expect consortia to use existing technologies, but also to develop those technologies that are needed to enable this localized manufacturing. That is why we have set out 5 as a starting TRL. And the final TRL is 6 and not 7, because here we have in mind somewhat smaller scale factories, if you like, localized and urban factories. It's a relatively new concept. So we have avoided calling this TRL7, which would be a demonstrator in a fully fledged industrial environment. And instead we have specified 6, which is still a demonstrator in an industrially relevant environment. Because we expect, certainly we expect to see something that works in practice in, if you like, mini factories, small localized factories. Hope that explains that.
All right, thank you, Nicolas. Thank you to all of our speakers that have participated in this session. Now we will have a break and we will resume at 14:45 Central European Time with the cross-cutting section regarding application processes and more. Thank you.
Iria, just to inform our audience that since we were slightly late, we can start maybe at 14:50. And
14:50?
Yes, in
Yes,
8
that's
minutes
perfect.
from now. Thank you very
Okay.
much. See you in a bit.
Thank you. Thank you.